What matters to you? Commitment? Dedication? Precision? Connection? Catching fish? Good. That matters to us too.
Hey everybody, I'm Steve Owens, Tournament Director for the Bassmaster Kayak Series. Also run Tennessee Bass Nation and Georgia Bass Nation, as many of you know. And from time to time, I've stepped in Alabama and helped the guys down there with an Alabama Bass Nation. This season, we weren't able to get together a small trail season. So what we're ended up doing this weekend, December the 13th, we're actually having an open qualifier like some other states do. I believe some other guys have a pretty good format set up for the 2026 season that's going to have an actual trail series that you can qualify into a championship with so that it's not an open format. So, what you'll do is you'll fish those Alabama Bass Nation Kayak Series events, and then from there, you'll qualify to an Alabama Bass Nation Championship. And that championship will only be open to the people that qualified through the Alabama Bass Nation Kayak Series Championship. So, you all have done a great job getting your dues paid and transferred over from other states. If you're traveling, you've let me know. And so really appreciate that. So if you're watching this and you're fishing with us next year at Alabama Bass Nation, or you're not fishing this particular event, but you plan on fishing next year, kind of remember the earlier you get those dues paid, the more it helps us as tournament directors, because we have to go in and add those things manually for each and every event, and it's a little time consuming. It's not crazy, but it's something that we all do this in large part on voluntary scale. So if you do it tournament day or Friday before tournament day, then it makes us have to do it in the evening time. Each of these events, what your dues get you, you got to be a Bassmaster member. And from there, that gets you your Bassmaster magazine that you get, your prize package, um, some swag they send you your way, and then you have to pay the Bass Nation dues, which is $32. That's $30, and that goes to Bass Nation. We don't charge a state dues right now because I have sponsors that come in and pay for the checks and trophies in our other series. And what we did in this event in particular is kayakproducts.com. It's a company that I have. We actually donated the checks to the Alabama Bass Nation Kayak Series qualifier on Lake Guntersville. So once you pay that, what that does is that $30, you get a subscription to another magazine. I know a lot of people don't care about the magazine or whatever, but it is an addition to something that we do. What it mainly does is that $30 goes to Bass Nation, as I mentioned, and that goes into some conservation efforts that I've seen in practice. Boat ramps being updated, boat ramps being opened, kept open. But the main thing is that it provides Bass Nation insurance for that event in particular. So each event has to be 100% dues paid members. If you haven't paid your dues, then you get removed from that tournament. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to communicate and figure that out before the tournament. So we shouldn't have that. We haven't had that issue so far in about 5, 6 years, me and Daniel Davis doing this on our side. But what that does, again, as I mentioned, it gets us insurance for these events. And that insurance, as you're seeing, is due to some tragedies on the water, are more and more important. We should have been doing it all along, and thank the Lord we haven't had any issues or incidences, but it's much needed now. So be mindful of each other on the water. I'm going to get into the angler briefing now. So I was just explaining what those dues are for, because all of us, I don't like paying fees if I don't have to, but one way to look at it is it's going to cost, about 47, maybe $50 to fish the trail series in dues. But again, those dues provide insurance, because just being blunt, going forward, I won't ever run a single event, even if it's a grassroots 10 angler event, without the insurance. And that insurance, if you go and purchase it from Philadelphia Insurance, is a company that I use now. If you do that in a one-off event, that's typically around $27 to $35 per angler to get the amount of coverages that you need. in case something happens. So essentially, this helps us all. That whole $30 pretty much would go to insurance if we did this on our own. So one thing you also get is that when these incidences happen, God forbid, and your club is having to deal with things, then you've got the Bass Nation support behind you. I've seen it in Tennessee here. There was an angler who fell on stage during awards in high school and broke his ankle, and the Bass Nation insurance clause covered every bit of his medical expenses for something that was an accident on stage. It wasn't even on water, and they covered it, made sure that the family was able to get him back and forth to doctor's appointments. So it's not just money that just goes kicked up to the house for the heck of it. So it's enough about all that. But this weekend, as you all see, there's a dues, or I'm sorry, a voluntary donation and to Real Heroes, and what that is a veterans initiative that takes in dollars and puts it towards revamping, remodeling, and even building some small tiny homes for men and women who have come back home, or even veterans up into, I've seen into the 90s, 90-year-old category, that they've built these homes for when they're down on their luck or having a bad time. So we've done that in Tennessee and Georgia, and I put it in there for this. And we've got some donations from you all, and I really appreciate you doing that for us. Dugout Bait and Tackle helped sponsor with this stuff. We've got prizes coming from Duckett. I believe Joe Drowns has got some Duckett stuff coming, and we're going to be hosted down in Guntersville on Scott's in we're going to be hosted in Scottsboro on Lake Guntersville at the Goose Pond Colony, and we're going to be at the Guntersville Tackle Outdoor Shop. So don't have to do anything there officially before the tournament, but when the tournament wraps up, that's where you're going to meet for awards and to get your prizes and your check. What you're fishing for, other than the money, is the top 10% of this field will make it to the 2025 Bassmaster Kayak Series Championship on Lake Chickamauga and Nickajack next year. That's the 1st of March, and this will be this will be the last season that we get to walk across stage. The Classic is being cut down and condensed in size, and what that does is it means, the high school, college, stuff like that, there's not going to be a stage time for that, and so we would be, eventually be part of that chopping block, so to speak. And we're always, no matter what you do, the Classic is the Classic. So we've built a good platform in the Bassmaster Kayak Series the last 3 or 4 years. And so now we feel like it's time for us to have our own standalone championship. And so what you're fishing in, if you choose to fish the Bassmaster Kayak Series next year in 2026, is we're going to have a championship in October. We'll have our own setup on our own lake. We'll be streamed. We should have the awards trailer, the elite stage, the streaming truck, the whole 9 yards. And so if you fish the Alabama Bass Nation Kayak Series next year, you're going to qualify for your Alabama championship that's going to be before September the 1st. And then in October, you'll be able to fish the Bassmaster Kayak Series Championship at the end of 2026. So right now we're at 28 anglers as I'm doing this update. Anglers have until 9 p.m. I believe it is tonight to sign up. So if you hit that 30 mark, then you're going to get 3 spots to fish Chickamauga and Nickajack next year. That's a 2-day tournament on Wednesday, Thursday, March 11th and 12th. And then on the 13th, we'll be in Knoxville, Tennessee for the awards again, which will be on stage for the final time. So getting into the details of the event, this is a 5-fish tournament with a 12-inch minimum length. You're allowed to use all catch boards and the Yak Attack leaderboard. Make certain that your boards are clean. You're going to have an identifier code that's going to be released on the Tourney X app. I'm going to leave that to you to find that. I'm not going to release it here because I'm doing this early. And that 3-digit code needs to be displayed where we can see it on your fish catches. They need to be oriented where the mouth is touching the bunk board facing left. There's a touching zone. I've included pictures of examples of fish submissions. I do allow you to pinch the tail, get it into position, but I need to see the end of the tail lobe. It needs to be unobstructed where I can see the end of the tail lobe, and you can touch up close to the eyeball. As long as the eyeball is uncovered, then I will score that fish, Try not to get too close to it, just because it makes this harder to judge. And if your board's at an angle, we're going to have to kick that fish out. You are allowed to have your hand on the fish. The mouth has to be completely closed, touching the bump board. Be certain to make sure that you take your photograph over the fish as directly as you can, not at an angle. It makes it really hard for us to check for cracked mouth and the eye, as I mentioned. And it's your job to put a good picture in. If we have any difficulty to where we can't figure those things out, then that fish will be kicked out and you'll have to submit another one. Um, your fish submissions, I recommend you do them all throughout the day. You need to check your TourneyX app, go to your live well, or I'm sorry, go to manage catch, and that lets you check your stringer. We'll judge your fish. If there are any deductions, we won't contact you. You do get a push notification from TourneyX every time your fish is scored. So if you submit a 22-inch fish and it's got a cracked mouth, we're going to score it at 21.5 inches. So at the end of the day, we're at awards and you say, hey, I had a 22-incher. No, we deducted it. You didn't check your stringer. Um, you didn't check your stringer to get back in touch with us to offer a better picture. So that's on you guys. It's pretty easy to do, so just be mindful of it. If you've got bad cell signal, then it's your responsibility to get off the water, get where you can to get those fish pictures uploaded. Right now, here are your times for the weekend. Your boundaries for here are from the Nickajack Dam all the way down to Guntersville Dam, and all water that is connected. So at 6 p.m. Central Time on Friday, pre-fishing is over. You're not allowed back on the water until you're rigging and getting into the water tomorrow on Saturday, December the 13th. And all times are central. So if you're traveling from Eastern time, then you need to make certain that you check your phones and your fish finders, because those can bite you if you're not paying attention to that. So in the morning at 5:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, you are allowed to launch and head to your fishing spots. While you're rigging and setting your kayak up, please do that from your parking spot. Please don't do that at the ramp, to the side of the ramp, or anything like that. Once you're rigged, please launch your watercraft, dock it, get out of the way and park, and then you're allowed to get in your kayak and stay in very close proximity to the boat ramp. That way you're in the water, you're out of the way of other boat traffic and other anglers. And then at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, you're allowed to your first cast lines in. You're going to fish for 8 hours until 2 p.m. I allow you for your fish captures on your phone the 59 seconds of 2 o'clock. Once it's 2:01, it's over with. If that picture is snapped at 2:01, then we can't allow it. If it's the 59 seconds, 2 o'clock and 59 seconds, we will accept that fish. You're going to have 1 hour to upload your fish to TourneyX. That's 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And check-in and awards is at 3:15, 3:30-ish at the Goose Pond Colony in Scottsboro, Alabama, at the GTO store there. I don't know if the kitchen will still be open at that time, but that's not a hard check-in. You're not going to get disqualified or penalized, but we do appreciate you showing up. It helps our sponsors see during awards the support that you all come out with, and it helps these businesses that give us the space to host these awards, and in a lot of cases, the prizes. So that's all there is to that. If you've got any problems uploading or submitting your fish, it's your job to get in touch with us, myself, or Joe Drowns. And we also allow the Bubba board in this event as well. I forgot about that. So a little bit of safety to go on to the end of this is your PFD must be worn at all times. If you've got cold weather gear on, your PFD needs to be on the outside of it. Once it warms up, you can take your PFD off, take your jacket off, and then put your PFD back on. But don't forget to put it back on, because if you take photographs and we don't see that, if we see that you don't have it on, then we're going to have some discussion and levy some penalties or a disqualification there. In the morning, if you're launching before safe light and you've got a motor, you need to have navigation lights, green and red, and a white 360 light. If you're launching in the morning and you're not motorized, you need to have a 360-degree white light on the back of your kayak. I recommend a safety flag. They do help, but you don't have to have it. If you're launching in the morning with a motor and you don't have red and green lights, or your lights go out on you, as long as you've got your 360 watt light, you can put your motor up and use manual power to launch and get to your fishing spot. Once it gets daylight, then you're allowed to put your motor back in and use it without those lights. On your photographs, I meant to mention, don't crop, uh, rotate, shade. Don't do anything to those photographs. If they're altered, then we'll disqualify that photograph. Um, I went through what you got to do on your measuring device, and that's about it. Watch out for one another. You are allowed to talk to one another on the water. You can share whatever you want. We ask that if you can, use the check in and out feature on Tourney X. It's not mandatory, but it's nice to use if you can. Let someone know where you're launching. If you're from out of town, if you want, you can let me know where you launch. And that way, if we don't hear from you, or if we make it back and people find an empty vehicle, we at least know who it is, and we can get the emergency response people to come looking for you. So don't mind to do that at all. We've done it for years, traveling across the country. But appreciate everybody down there in Alabama. Alabama's got a great state, a lot of good fishing. So we look forward to seeing what we can do to give you another shot, at an Alabama Bass Nation Kayak Series next year. I know there's a lot of questions about fees and stuff like that, but it's the nature of it. It's we got to pay those things to the administration for the platform, for the insurance, and everything else that goes along with it, and it's much needed. So I appreciate all of you. If you ever got any questions, reach out to me. Y'all be safe, and catch up with you in a little bit. That identifier code I mentioned can be written on anything, so long as it's visible. If you're writing it on your hand, I would recommend you not do that. Get something to write it on and put it in the bottom of your kayak, or a tourney tag or something. But if you do write it on your hand, make sure that your sleeve doesn't cover it. So I recommend, if you can, write those 3 numbers across your fingers here, like my tattoo, because when that's laying there, we typically can see that. A lot of times we write it on this part of your fingers as well, and that helps a lot in case this gets rubbed off or something like that. So appreciate you guys. Take care of yourself, and y'all go catch them up. See you guys. Thanks.
What matters to you? Commitment, dedication, precision, connection. Catching fish? Good. That matters to us too.